Hi guys, welcome to another edition of the Let's Hangout series. Today we are at Snapdeal Acquisitions in Delhi. It's absolutely bustling here, a lot of energy, a lot of people, and I believe Snapdeal is opening several offices across India, and they're taking over the entire industry. So this is Abhishek hosting this hangout.
Thank you, Ganesh. Nice to have you guys here, and always great to interact with the Let's Venture team.
Thanks for your time. So Abhishek, just wanted to start off our conversation by understanding a little bit about Snapdeal and how you're looking at the startup ecosystem. So you were at Palash before this. Team with looking at investing, acquiring, as well as hiring startups. So if you can just give us a quick snapshot as to how you're viewing the startup ecosystem and opportunities for Snap.
Right. Ganesh, thanks for having me here on this Google Hangout. It's always great to interact with startups, with entrepreneurs, and it's a very exciting time in this space in India, especially. So Snapdeal, it's probably a bit strange to call it a startup now, given our size and scale at the moment. But at heart, we still look at ourselves as a startup. We are a young company, young both in the number of years that we've been in existence, as well as the average age of people working here, of our team. And even at our leadership level, most of our leadership team actually is made up of entrepreneurs who've joined Snapdeal at various times in their journey. And that's the reason we believe that despite any company reaching any size, scale, or revenues, at heart we have to maintain the agility and dynamism of a startup. That's the way to grow fast, and we are hungry for growth. That's about us. About the ecosystem, we feel that because so many of us have been entrepreneurs here, and we feel we have a duty, first of all, to foster this ecosystem, to ensure that there are many more startups coming out of India. Part of it is obviously selfish because we are always on the lookout for cool products and cool tech being developed by young, smart people who ideally we want to come and work with us. But apart from that, we also want to see a lot of growth because we feel that when the ecosystem grows, we grow with it, right? So as an e-commerce marketplace, we want to foster anything to do with our ecosystem as a marketplace, and apart from that also.
Sure. And Abhishek, we have heard a few acquisitions by Snapdeal in the recent past, but we have not really heard any investments as such. So how do you view that piece? When do you look at investing into a startup, and when would you consider acquiring them or acquiring them? What's your thesis on that?
Frankly, there's no set rule for that, right? There is no set of rules that we follow when it comes to either investing or acquiring a startup or any other company. Yes, in certain cases, we feel if it's not directly linked to our business, if we feel there is a linkage, but in the future, and we feel that that separation between us and that company is good for that company, and they can continue growing at that scorching pace, being separate, we would love to invest. We have many of them will be announced very soon in the coming months. In some cases where there are cool products, cool tech which has been developed, which is a straight plug and play for us, we would love to have those guys on board and merge them into the company, because the acquisitions we've done in the past, both near past and earlier, those teams have actually continued to function pretty much independently, developing various parts of our platform, and they enjoy that. We enjoy that because the pace is unmatched, and so it's different, So acquisitions or investments, both of these scenarios work for us. We have no set preference for either.
Sure. And I just want to take a question from the audience at this point. There's a question around this is by Aaron. He asked, So most of the VCs are chasing these companies. Will this space saturate soon? Will there be any opportunities for new startups? What's your take on this?
I would beg to differ actually on that, on the first part of the question, that most VCs are only chasing e-commerce. I think that gets reported more, that gets covered more in the media, but there are many investments, big and small, happening, and many companies which are attracting a lot of investor interests have nothing to do with e-commerce in most cases. Some of the recent big stories we have read, not big in terms of the amount of investment, but very interesting tech companies that have raised funding. I mean, they probably indirectly link to e-commerce and their core tech companies. So yes, there is a lot of interest in e-commerce because e-commerce has grown rapidly. I guess that's understating it, but yeah, it's been really amazing, this pace of growth, and it's but natural that that attracts a lot of investor interest. But I think there is enough interest in non-e-commerce companies, and that's bound to increase, I feel.
Sure, sure. And what about from the opportunity perspective? So now we have a couple of major platforms which have raised a lot of money. They have a war chest. They have a scale, substantial scale already. So do you see opportunities for another platform, A? And B, what are the other opportunities around these platforms that are big and which startups can actually look to address?
Actually, I feel the space of e-commerce enablers, right? Which these companies are on the periphery of the e-commerce ecosystem, but used to be, but now are very important for the growth and sustaining the growth of companies like Snapdeal. And so enablers could be technologies and logistics, could be technologies that are linked to mobile apps, that are linked to payments, and all of these are very important. And I feel there's going to be a lot of activity here. There is already a lot of innovation in this space in this country, and it's a matter of time when they also start attracting very serious investor interest.
Great, great. And I believe you were talking about a Snapdeal incubator. Can you just tell us a bit about that?
Yes, that's a very exciting part of our work here, and that's in the works right now. It's going to be an entirely mobile-focused incubator. We are looking only at, and we feel, India is already a mobile devices, and say, so the distinction between saying mobile and web app, it's, I think, blurring, because platforms are becoming irrelevant as long as you access the user wherever he wants to access you. So so for us, it's a mobile first world already, and very soon moving towards a majority mobile only country. That's what's our what we see happening very soon. So we want to, again, when we spoke of ecosystem, that's another ecosystem that we want to foster and promote, which is any and every smart team that's working on any smart technology to do with the mobile. We want to include in the incubator. Obviously, there are certain limitations in terms of number of startups we can host for the period of the incubator of the program, but we will aim to do this for the maximum number of startups possible in the mobile space.
Sure. And would the startups need to have synergy with Snapdeal's current business, or are you open to any startup in addressing the mobile space?
This is any startup in the mobile space. It doesn't need to have a direct or indirect synergy with our platform. We feel that mobile usage grows, we grow. Right? Kunal has many times said that majority of our transactions these days are coming from the mobile platform. Right? So in effect, we are already, if not very soon, a mobile company. We are a mobile commerce company already, and that we feel that that mobile commerce ecosystem of consumption of products and purchases of products and services on the mobile is something that's only going to increase if the mobile ecosystem itself increases. If the OS is good enough, if the connections, the connectivity is good enough, and if people are spending more and more of their time and doing more of their transactions as well as their communication and computing on the mobile phone, that's what we are seeing happening, and we feel that that's a trend that's very soon actually going to overtake everything else that's happening in this space.
Sure, sure, awesome. And can you just talk a bit about what can Snapdeal offer the incubating startups, which they will not be able to access otherwise. Would you provide them opportunities to work along with teams at Snapdeal, or would you kind of give them a leg up to getting exposure in the industry?
Yes, certainly. We feel that one of the biggest advantages of any startup that joins this incubator, that comes to this program, is the fact that they will actually benefit from the experience, the knowledge, and the scale of Snapdeal. So the experience and knowledge, especially of the leadership team here, most of whom, as I said earlier, have been entrepreneurs. They have very rich and diverse experience in building highly scalable platforms, both on the mobile and web. So that's the biggest advantage we feel in terms of, apart from of course the infrastructure and the support we will provide, but the interaction with our top leadership team and operational team is something that we feel is actually the real attraction in this incubator.
Sure, sure. And Abhishek, just wanted to slightly change the topic and talk about acqui-hires. Are you actively looking to, acquire companies to hire great talent? Is that something that you look at proactively?
Yes, I do have a slight difference of in how to use that phrase, because an acquisition or a merger is in a way partly or mostly in some cases driven by the quality of the teams, right? So they could also be called acqui-hires, but obviously we don't. So in most cases, we value both the product and the team, and the team slightly more than the product. And so yes, we are actively looking out for great teams. We have set up a development. I mean, we already have a development center in Bangalore as well, and we are actively looking for talent in technology, in product, in merchandising, in different categories. And some of the deals we have done are primarily driven by the quality of teams that have come along with that.
Okay, okay, awesome. And in terms of the incubator and in general, would there be certain opportunities or certain pain points of Snapdeal that you would kind of evangelize for entrepreneurs to kind of come and address? Is that something that you're thinking of, like having a wish list of things that Snapdeal would love for entrepreneurs and the ecosystem work on, which then can kind of help Snapdeal?
Yeah, good point, Ganesh. It's one of the focus areas that we thought of, but as you can understand, a company of this size that's grown so rapidly in the last couple of years, there are always growing pains, and we keep addressing those constantly, and we make sure that the experience for our users, both our customers as the thousands of sellers, most of whom are small and medium enterprises spread across the country, the experience for them should be as smooth as possible. We feel we are a pure marketplace. We are a technology company, or a company that uses technology to make lives simpler for our customers, for our buyers and sellers. That's our core belief. That's what we strive to do. And yes, on that, since we see most activity these days originating on the mobile platform, that's the reason that this incubator also is mobile focused. And yes, there are many things we want built, many products we are already developing. And if any of these teams we feel can do great work there, then that's an added advantage. Frankly, that's not the only reason they'll be here, but that's even better for us.
Sure, sure. And Abhishek, we have a lot of questions from startups asking about the funding piece. So can we just zoom out a bit? And I mean, you have worn the VC hat, and now you're the corporate development guy. But but having that vantage point in the e-commerce space, can you talk a little bit about the funding dynamics in this space? What kind of startups are getting funded, not just from the Snapdeal perspective, but generally in the space. What's happening and what's the investment climate?
It's a very exciting time. It's also a time when I have seen startups in various sectors getting funded. Not just, as you said, not just e-commerce or not just platforms that are transactions focused, but also technology companies which have developed proprietary technology for the web or for the mobile. And of course, anything to do with mobile is very hot these days. But anything to do with app usage with optimizing customer experience on the mobile. I mean, IoT was very big last year. It still is. It's here to stay. Healthcare is one sector I feel is attracting, and rightly so. In a country like India, we feel that maybe so many years later, technology is what it will take to actually cover the entire country or the entire population and provide them healthcare coverage. And that's the overall overarching vision. And these companies are doing pretty cool stuff in trying to achieve that in their own small way. So I think healthcare is going to be a very big sector going forward. It's just started now. It's here to stay. I think we're just seeing the early days in these sectors, and interest here is not going to be reduced in the foreseeable future.
Sure, sure. We have a question from Khalil, who runs a social shopping site. So, what's your take on that from a Snapdeal perspective? Would you want to integrate with social shopping sites, and what do they need to kind of bring in terms of communities or reach for you to actually look at some partnerships with social shopping sites?
Okay, so yeah, we already work with a lot of social shopping and social promotional sites which are in our affiliate program, and we are increasing that now actually, increasing that active level of activity there as well. So yeah, so that engagement is already there, and yes, we always look out for such products, and if are we actually have we gone out looking for social shopping sites yet? Not yet. I mean, but it's on our radar. Yeah, and that's all I can say right now. I mean, it's there. It's of interest to us, and yes, if anything cool comes by, we are always open to engaging with them.
Sure. We have another question from Desh Pandey, who's asking about a specific startup, Wish Picker. He wants to know how that entire acquisition happened. If you don't want to talk about Wish Picker in particular, generally, what is the kind of process that happens when you're actually acquiring a company? What are the kind of discussions you have, and what are the major points that a startup would need to go through while talking to a potential acquirer?
No, I'm more than happy to talk about Wishpicker. These guys are, really smart set of guys, small team, lean team, have made a great product, and in fact, they're building out some really cool stuff for us already. I mean, acquisition happened pretty recently, but okay. So the process, see, it's very simple. We believe in not wasting anyone's time, right? So if we like a company, like a technology, like a team, we usually end up approaching them ourselves in most cases. In some cases, there is inbound interest, but in most cases, the ones we like, we go out and approach. And the first thing we do really, which I think is common to both investing as well as corporate development, is both financial investing as well as corporate development, is that the first bar for us is the team, both in terms of the quality of the team, their passion for their product, their passion for technology or the business that they're in, and that's what we first gauge. So our first interactions are usually very informal. We like to spend time with them, not too much time. We don't want to waste their time, but yeah, enough for us to gauge their level of involvement and the possibilities. I mean, what can they do for us, and what they have done till now. So that's the first level of for us in our decision making. Post which, yes, of course, it's very simple. We will look at the product more deeply. We will actually have them come and meet our senior team in most cases, interact with them because these are the people they're going to work with. So we feel fit also is very important. And of course, the product itself, does it make sense for us? Is it going to add value to our platform? Is it going to be value incremental? Is it going to be is it going to open a new segment for us? All those things, all those questions have to be answered. But these are done simultaneously. So the interactions with our leadership team, and especially Kunal and Rohit are very active in this space. They love to promote entrepreneurship in the country, and they're actively seeking and meeting young entrepreneurs. So yeah, so that's I think for us, yes, team is number one. Product and technology comes after that, and the rest falls in place. The transaction itself is very simple. We like to keep it very simple. We don't like to get into complicated paperwork or anything like that. As I said, this is a young company. This is we still want to call ourselves a startup. So why complicate things?
Great, great. And hey, I think we totally missed out. When is the launch of the incubator?
Yeah, so you'll be the first to know. We are working on it. It's being put in place, and it's a lot of the details are done. But the announcement, yeah, I'd love to share it with you as soon as we decide on the date that when we start accepting applications or proposals. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So we'll watch your Twitter account closely. In the meantime, is there any particular model you have thought about in the incubator in terms of equity? I mean, would you take equity from every startup, or would it be an equity less model? What are your thoughts around that?
There will be some equity. We feel that it's exciting when you have some skin in the game, right? So we'll back them with our resources, and we'll back them with a lot of support. They will have almost full freedom to explore the Snapdeal ecosystem, our platform, and use that to their advantage. And yes, so we will. So it's standard, right? So equity is part of it, and I think that's when it gets interesting. It's when because we feel we are going to be partners with these entrepreneurs. We are not financial investors in any case, right? So our goal is not financial return, but we want to back them as far as possible, and hopefully most of them, and we feel will realize that the real value is not in the financial part of it. It's in the association with Snapdeal and the benefits that accrue with that association.
Sure. So some more questions pouring in. One question is about, is Snapdeal trying to look at companies which are solving the cataloging for unsanitized products?
Yeah, that's a very interesting space. We are doing some work internally also in it, but we are very open to looking at companies that are doing that. And specific. This is quite specific, so yeah, it's of a lot of interest to us. It's because, as you know, we have the largest catalog of products in India right now amongst e-commerce sites. So we've done a fairly decent job of the cataloging, and actually a very good job. I mean, considering the number of products, it's a brilliant job. But anything to improve that and going forward, make the process even simpler and smoother, yes, we'll be very open to looking at this.
Sure, sure. And can you just share some more specific areas where you feel entrepreneurs can fill the void? Are there any specific areas that you would look at which would give a competitive edge to Snapdeal, or would kind of work on the inefficiency in the space? Are there any, let's say, top three areas where you would like entrepreneurs to kind of focus on?
I would love to say mobile, but it's actually now very general. So within that there are many subcategories. But yeah, not Snapdeal specifically. In fact, in the entire e-commerce space in India today, which is changing, I guess, monthly these days, there are certain key elements of this piece of this puzzle that are very vital to all of us. Okay, so if it's to do with the payment space, and payments itself is now expanded to have there are prepaid wallets, there are payment gateways. There are a lot of aspects to payments itself these days. So any technology that's being developed in that space is interesting. Anything to do with, I mentioned this earlier, logistics technologies, and I don't mean logistics as in deliveries and last mile, but the technology part of it, which is because there are many third-party logistics vendors we work with. It's about pushing technology adoption, both basic technology as well as some innovations where this entire process can be more streamlined, can help the customer experience be much better than it already is. And so these two areas I feel are very for us and for everyone in this space are very important. And of course, within the mobile space, uh, technologies that look at the app specifically, because that's where we feel usage and adoption is going to be. I can predict 80 to 90% very soon, right? So in that space, both engagement, adoption, and usage, for orders, any technology that's or any company that's working on that is sure to do very well and generate a lot of interest from us and from everyone else. So as far as just e-commerce is concerned, yeah, these three spaces for us are very important. I know these are broad, payments is a large space, so is logistics, but I feel there's enough to do there. There's been a lot that's been done. We have worked very closely with some very young teams which have come up with really sophisticated products which have really made a difference to user experience in these spaces. But there is still enough to do.
Sure. An interesting question coming in from Mudit. Uh, what is Snapdeal's perspective in the services marketplace model? Is that something that Snapdeal would look at?
Yeah, services is something, again, I mean, as you know, it's very different from what we do today. We are the largest products marketplace, but that's to say that it's natural to assume that it's just a natural progression. It's a marketplace for services because we feel our job is to provide the platform. Our job is to provide the technology, which makes people, it makes it much easier for sellers to reach markets across the country, and these sellers could be, as they are already selling products, they might as well be selling services. And we feel that as long as the delivery are guaranteed and we can guarantee excellent customer experience, we'll be open to marketplaces in that segment as well, certainly.
Sure. Another question by an entrepreneur named Guru Raj. Is Nabil keen on models that deliver healthcare services on mobile, and would this qualify for your incubation program?
Yes, certainly. I mentioned that healthcare is one of the most exciting sectors, especially for early stage investment. If they are on, as he said, on mobile, providing healthcare services and access via the mobile, it's even better. And yes, it would be of great interest to us. We would be actually, these are the kind of segments that we would like to highlight and we would like to promote even more.
Sure, sure. And just switching topics, we have an interesting question by V. He Snapdeal work on retaining them. Talent is probably the most precious thing for a startup, right? So any tips on how startups can work on retaining talent?
I think he also writes that does offering higher packages every time work? I don't think that works every time. I don't think that's the way to do it. And yes, he's right. It's very tough, even for companies of our size, and it's to attract really good tech talent. Retaining for some, I mean, it's been easy for us because we feel that it's not easy. We have worked very hard at it, but it's now at a stage where it's the work culture, it's the environment at your workplace, it's the it's the thrill of seeing products that you deliver being you develop being released and at scale, right? So I think those are the things that really work towards retaining tech talent, and it's a long-term process. I don't think there's any short-term fix for it. It's you build a culture, you build a fun work environment, and you build you build retention. It's to do with all these three. Of course, compensation would play a part in it, but we don't feel compensation is the primary primary factor when it comes to people staying back. It has to do with the culture and how much fun they have at work. It can't change. I don't think that can change. And of course, career growth, opportunity to work on big projects, the feeling of involvement in something big and the feeling of involvement in the core product. These are important things, and we like to make everyone as involved as possible, right? So that's what we do, and it works. So I guess that's our point of view.
Sure, sure. We have another question from Swaroop, who's asking about the typical investment size, that Snapdeal would look at.
Okay, so there's no typical investments. There's no specific range for investments. We have done a very large deal. We are doing very large deals, and we are doing, smaller investments as well. So I'm sorry, there's no range as such. It depends on the company. Some are early stage companies. We like to back them. Their requirement of cash is much lower. They would rather, they rather benefit from the association with us. So, but there are more established companies which have, which have grown rapidly, and in those cases, we have, the deal sizes are much larger. So there's no specific. So we don't keep any range in mind. It's from company to company.
Sure. So would you also look at startups which kind of need mentoring? Is that something that Snapdeal can provide? Let's say some startup wants to specifically access some advice, right? So they may not need an incubation service, but they may want to kind of reach out to you and get some mentoring. Would that be something that is possible?
Yes, that is possible. It's something we are very open about, and we, mentoring both from our founders and the entire leadership team, and they actually actively already do it. So, if any of them, wants to get in touch with them and wants to, or specific advice, specific mentoring from the team here, we are very open to it. They can come to us via you.
Sure. Another question coming in from Mudit. Would Snapdeal look at international markets and international sellers?
International sellers, yes. As long as they comply with all the guidelines here, we are more than happy. And in terms of seller development, we have grown rapidly in the number of sellers that are on our platform. Although we feel that there is enough growth in India. There are enough entrepreneurs in India who want to sell their products across the country, who are today bound by geographical limitations because India is a large country, and we are there to help them overcome that. And yes, if there are international brands, we are already working with many international brands, but yeah, there are Indian partners, and so yes, we are always open to that. As long as we they comply with all regulations, we are fine.
Sure. Another question that's coming in from Subramanya Rao. What is the best way to kind of reach out to Snapdeal and pitch their solution or start a dialogue with you?
They can just drop me an email, me or my team an email anytime. They're free to reach out. It's the easiest thing to do. We just type out an email and send it to us. That's enough. We will certainly respond, and you can. That's been our record till now, that we have usually engaged with almost all of the people who have written to us, and we actively go out and seek startups and entrepreneurs. So if someone wants to reach us, they can come to us via the email, via LinkedIn, any platform. They can write to us on any of these platforms, and we are more than happy to engage with them.
And of course, your Let's Venture profile as well, if I can add that.
Yes, of course. How did I miss that?
Great.
Yeah.
So I think we're coming closer to the close of the session. So Abhishek, any advice you would give in general to a startup?
In general, I feel it's simple. Stay hungry, and there is no replacement for rigor and hard work. There's nothing, no amount of funds or external support can really help you if you are. I mean, you just have to be persistent. You have to have a thick skin, and you need to retain that hunger for a long, long time. That's all. It's as simple as that.
And by virtue of interacting with so many startups, would you say there are any specific mistakes or any specific trends that you see that you would advise against? So you have a lot of startups writing to you. Are there any deal breakers from your perspective when they're reaching out to Snapdeal?
Okay, deal breakers. No, I mean it's about our, what we feel is the level of their passion for their product. We might be wrong in some cases, so maybe we are wrong in a lot of cases, but it's the way we gauge teams and people. But I feel the only thing we value, I mean, we look for is passion in the founding team. How passionate are they about their product? They might be working on the wrong product, but at least they should be passionate about it. And of course, if you have to fail, you fail quick. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in pivoting as many times as is required to reach the final product, to reach what works. So I think that's it. That, have that hunger, have that passion, and don't be afraid to say, okay, this did not work. Let me try something else. That's natural.
Sure. So one other quick thing I wanted to ask you is regarding valuations, right? So you're going to deal with a lot of startups who are going to enable you in different ways. So how do they discover their valuation? Do they base it on the e-commerce valuations, or is there some other formula to it? Can you just throw some light on that?
I think Ganesh, you know this better than I do, that there is no formula for this. It's very subjective, but yeah, it's about okay. Valuation, I guess, is about the person who's valuing their perception about the growth possibilities, the size of that market, and if there is one, if there is none, then how big that market, how big a market can be created. And I'm not talking about revenues, right? I'm talking about attraction. I'm talking about engagement with the users. That's more important in consumer internet than anything else. And I feel in any product, right? So that's most important. So it's the perception of the person valuing or the team valuing on that market, the team, and their ability to execute it. That's why we see such large variations between valuations of similar companies done by different teams, and that will continue. I guess it's human, right? There's a lot of I mean, there are numbers involved, obviously, but I guess your numbers and my numbers are different in most cases. So yeah, so I really can't. It's very, very subjective. So yeah, you can't apply an e-commerce valuation to a startup. You can't apply an e-com or a IoT valuation to healthcare. So it's very different.
Right, right. Great. So thanks for your time, Abhishek. I think we need to wrap up the session. And I see a lot of questions regarding what is your email address and your phone number. So I think we can send out an email as a thank you note to all the participants with your email as well as your Let's Venture profile link, so people can reach out to you.
Sure.
And quick announcement, guys, the ones who are in Delhi and NCR, Abhishek will be at the Let's Ignite Mixer on the 28th at IIT Delhi. So if any one of you can drop by, do message us at Let's Venture, and we will send out an invite to you. Thanks, Abhishek, for your time. And there are a few questions that we might not have been able to answer. I would request you to answer them on Twitter so that they have an answer for that question. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thanks, Kasturi, and thanks the team there and all you guys who joined us and asked questions. I hope I can answer everything on Twitter. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.